Yeah, we're just going to get right into this one. We don't want to take as long as last week because that got a little bit silly.
What do you mean?
First of all, it
Very
was
quick.
yeah, it was interesting. We do tend to like go
Here's
on
the problem,
tangents
Johnny.
sometimes, but
You know we could go longer.
that is the issue. Like we were still like cutting short several like parts of the conversation last week, and it took hours and hours to get through everything. Is Johnny in Shogun's basement? You bet. Yeah, this is. We could actually like reach out and like
We could high five if we
high
wanted.
five.
We just don't like
Um,
each other that much.
But yeah, it's off camera. We're just a little bit out of range. Like I moved us closer together for this, but yeah, there we go. Somewhere over here. Sorry, it's like blank space. But yes, let's get started here. Everybody, welcome to week 4 of the podcast, or rather I should say episode 4 of the podcast. The recap for week 3. A little bit confusing, I know, but bear with us. RLCS week 3 of league play just occurred. There were bonus games this week, 6 games instead of 5 from each. So we're going to try and rattle through these quickly, give our thoughts on all of the matchups. As usual, joining me is Callum the Shogun, the now Twitch streamer extraordinaire. And you can find him on the exact same handle as you see underneath his beautiful face there. But yeah, welcome Shogun. How you doing this fine week, this fine evening?
I'm good. I had to literally fix everything on my stream over the course of 6 hours, so that was great fun. So nice to have that all done and come and do this instead.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you've been fixing your production quality to be even better. I didn't know that was possible actually, but looking forward to seeing it.
I was really hoping you wouldn't just go, I'm so glad that you're finally adding some production quality to your stream.
Yeah.
It was right there for you, Johnny.
True. It's all been about Twitter comebacks today. That has been the topic. We might touch on some Twitter drama later on. But first of all, let's just hop straight into North America. Let's see if I can not screw up this image overlay for those of you who are watching live on Twitch. G2 versus Ghost. Going into this match, G2 had a 100% win rate. Ghost only had 1 win with no losses, or with 2 losses rather, I think it was, going into this match. So G2 were the favorites, 2-0 going into the series. And I managed to predict this one bang on the nose. I could just, straight on the head of the nail. 3-2. Didn't predict the game order, but hey, I got the series score right. What did you have for this one, Shogun? I don't recall.
If I don't remember either. It would have been like a 3 or a 3-1. I wouldn't have gone for the 3-2.
For G2. Well, I'll tell you why, because I know a lot of people are probably wondering, Johnny, how did you get so many predictions right this week? And I'll tell you my secret. I just looked at weeks 1 and 2 and I saw that Ghost had lost 3-2 twice. I thought maybe they'll lose 3-2 again. So that's why I said they would, and they did.
This is the first time logic and reasoning has actually been used to make a correct Rocket League prediction.
Indeed,
I thought
indeed.
you were being idiotic with yours because yours made sense.
Indeed,
and therefore was no chance of it happening.
This is North American Rocket League, though. Somewhat predictable sometimes. But Ghost especially, I mean, it's kind of their curse this season. They've lost 3-2, well, now actually 4 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4 times. They've lost 3-2 to the 4 top teams, and that leaves them in a bit of a rut. We're going to talk about their position now in the table because it is pretty interesting. They have 1 win and 4 losses, which puts them third bottom, just ahead of Rogue and FlyQuest, who have no wins between them. And a lot of people are thinking that is this Ghost season over? I heard this discussion being brought up, and I don't know how people could come to that conclusion when they still have to play both FlyQuest and Allegiance, the 2 teams who are right beside them in the table. But what would you say to that, Shogun? Is Ghost season over just yet, or is it still alive and kicking?
All right, so they've already got 1 win at the moment. That was last week against Rogue. Let's see their future schedule. They've got FlyQuest. They can win that one.
Yep.
They've got Allegiance. They can win that one. Not a chance. Their season is actually looking still bright. I don't actually know right now what it would take to get in to the promotion. I mean, not promotion, the playoffs. 2-5 could still be completely fine, but I think they'll be looking towards that 3-4. If they do that, they might be able to pull off an upset. Depending on who they get, they might be able to pull off an upset. They seem like they're just a click away from being a really solid team.
Yeah, and they've lost 3-2 to everybody who beat them. So
Yeah.
you'd think they could upset anyone. And
Yeah.
I think they can do better as well. They didn't play perfectly in any of those series. They can
Now-
definitely be better.
I know this is probably not saying much considering recent form. This is the best Zane Jackie I've seen in a long time. Maybe ever.
That isn't saying much.
That isn't saying much, but you need him. He is part of the roster. You need him to be playing at a higher level than he has been throughout previous seasons. And he's starting to do that. He still needs to kick it up a little bit. But if they can keep that going, Lefemir is playing much less greedy, in my opinion. And it's working. They just need... And, these 3-2s, as much as they've got to hurt to be consistently losing 3-2, it also says to a lot of us that they're a game away from potentially upsetting someone in the playoffs.
Indeed. And I mean, if they win 3-0 in their next series, they're at a 50-50 win-loss in games after going 2 wins and 4 losses in series. It does help to lose 2-3. If you're going to lose 2-3 in this format, because the first tiebreaker in RLCS is win percentage, I believe. Even when only 2 teams are tied, it says it's not still win percentage? Or do they use head-to-head now? No, it must be win percentage, because if we look at the league table right now, NRG and Evil Geniuses are both 3 wins, 1 loss. Evil Geniuses beat NRG, of course. So if it was head-to-head, EG would be third, but NRG are at third because they have an additional win. They've got a better win percentage, so that is going to help Ghost. I don't know how their season could be seen as over from that. Even Memory, their own player, he was messaging me asking, like, is their season, like, is it over? I was like, nah, just win both your games. You're guaranteed playoffs pretty much. And he's like, really? I hope so. Like, I'm pretty sure that I didn't screw him over by saying that. I think it is that's just that simple. They're making playoffs if they win both their games remaining against the 2 new rookie teams.
I think I just discovered what was going wrong with my microphone earlier, by the way. For some reason, it's decided that my input volume wanted to be 100%.
Oh. Try putting it up a little.
Lowered it. I've put it down to 50.
Put it at 75. Yeah, go 75. Bang in the middle.
All right. Hopefully that should be better.
Okay, I'll let you know. But yeah, if anyone's here, like, a few clicks or whatever, then that was probably just Shogun's mic. It was nothing like too noticeable.
I don't know if it comes back. Then,
it might be doing it again. Go 60%. Let's see what that sounds like.
Oh.
How do I increase your volume on Discord? I'm trying to remember how to do this. I thought you just had to right-click on.
You usually do. Mind.
Let me see if I can find you in...
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the whole thing.
Yeah, just put it to 60%. I can't right-click his name because we're in a call somehow. Maybe I'll right-click this. Oh, there we go. Okay, you're already 200%. Never mind. Yeah, just try to put it at 60 and then speak louder, I think, is the solution.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Let's move on to G2 then. They're looking very good. This is the best G2. We said actually last week that this is the best G2 we've seen since they won E-League. Now they're looking just as good, if not better, because what we saw this week wasn't a win against NRG or Evil Geniuses or Cloud9, who they have, I think, yet to play. They've yet to play all 3 of those teams, the other top teams in the region. But it was consistency, and that's what G2 have been lacking for the longest time. They're always looking dodgy, and they look like they could just lose randomly. But they did just as well against Ghost as everybody else did, and they took down Rogue 3-1 as well, winning 3 games in a row after dropping the first one. So, thoughts on G2 going into week 4?
Just keep this going, please. If there's anything I've ever really criticized G2 for, it was... I know consistency is usually a thing, but it was actually staying good for long periods of time. They are very floaty, as in good, bad, for, maybe they'll have to be strong for 3 months and be bad for 4 months. Hopefully this is the 3 months where they can keep this consistent. And right now, looking at their schedule, I mean, it's a tough schedule.
It's pretty tough.
Yes, but they're playing the way they are right now. And the way NRG are playing right now, they can probably squeeze... They'll be upset that they're not playing NRG next week.
Yeah.
They've got to wait 2 weeks. If they were taking on NRG next week, I think G2 could probably squeeze in a top 2 spot.
Yeah, it's looking like G2 versus EG. If G2 lose to Cloud9 next week, which right now I'm expecting to happen, not because G2 are playing badly, but just because I think Cloud9 are a bit better right now. They've got a better win percentage in the league. They had a better off-season, and... they've just looked like a more cohesive team overall, with more solid contributors, not just... I mean, I hate to say it, but G2 do still rely on JNaps to be that finisher quite a lot. I say that, but, Cornovia has looked very good. I think Rizzo's probably the one player on G2 who doesn't look like he's having as good a league play as he did last season, but he hasn't really had to yet. We're gonna wait and see. Is Rizzo gonna step up versus the big teams in the last 2 weeks? But yeah, I expect it to be G2 versus EG now for that second, third spot, which is huge. That's absolutely massive for both those teams because they play in the final week. And looking at the other matches, EG versus Rogue, that's probably going to go in EG's favor. EG versus Allegiance, that's probably going in EG's favor, which would take them to 5 wins, 1 loss. G2 are probably going to lose to Cloud9, so they're going to go into that match against EG with potentially 4 wins, 1 loss. They'll need that win against EG pretty much to lock in that second spot. That's before they even play NRG as well.
By the way, I'm hearing the same peaky thing on your side as well. I think it's a Discord issue. I've heard it before.
Maybe a Discord thing.
So everyone blame Discord. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah. So,
but the good thing is, and this is a chance to sell us out properly, if you listen to the podcast version, we'll have the clean audio from both sides.
Perfect.
With no
there we go.
internet involved.
Yeah, that's just another reason to listen to the podcast.
Listen to it again.
Indeed. And a lot of people use my stream. I'm not sure about yours, but a lot of people use mine as sort of a way to ease them into sleep at night because I'm so boring that I can help people with insomnia get to sleep. So there's just yet another reason. Just to combine that with the podcast and you've got yourself a winner.
Awesome.
But that's week 1, or that's week 3, game 1.
Oh god, if we got through week 1 that quickly, that'd be a new record.
I know, right?
No, we got through the first game.
All right, let's see if I can not screw up the hotkey here. Check out the new graphics, all of you guys with the stream
I'm waiting
on.
for this.
Look at that, so clean. Mate. Yeah, first of all, thoughts on that, Shogun.
What, the transition?
Yeah, the transition. We can't
I'm
go
actually
back.
impressed.
We can't
I'm
go back.
genuinely impressed.
It's a slideshow. We can't go back. It's a one-way
that explains
slideshow.
it then. I was actually wondering how you managed it.
Yeah,
I'm actually impressed, dudes.
We're stuck on this now, so let's not make any mistakes like double or skipping.
Alright, because I
forward.
have a lot of opinions still on G2.
Don't worry, they play again
I got
later.
nothing. I've got nothing.
EG versus FlyQuest. EG winning 3-0 in game 1, then FlyQuest taking a 5-4 victory in a 9-goal thriller game 2 before losing 4-3 and 2-1. It's more of the same for FlyQuest, in my opinion. They look like they're RLCS caliber, but they still have no wins on the table. They're 0 wins and 4 losses, and their season's not over yet. But it's like, I think if they lose against Ghost next week, it's over. That's it. That's GG's.
I think, given current form, FlyQuest will probably finish with either 1 or 2, but maybe 1, 2, or 0 losses. I think 0 losses for them would be very harsh. But at the same time, I don't see. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't see them dropping.
Yeah, I don't see.
I think they need another season just to lock themselves in a little bit more and maybe come back a bit stronger. The problem for them as well is every single game I've looked at, I think their opponents have been in good form. Against NRG, that was the best NRG game we've seen this season when they took down FlyQuest for week 1. Then they took on G2, who are on form just big time at the moment. And then they've taken on rampant evil geniuses. It's... and then Allegiance, that every single week. We pointed out during week 1 how FlyQuest versus Allegiance was a massive game. And every single week it becomes more and more true.
Yeah, totally. And that's going to be the really interesting thing, isn't it? Because right now, if we look at this leaderboard, Allegiance have 1 win, Ghost have 1 win, Rogue have no wins, and FlyQuest have no wins. It's a very split table halfway down. So the matchups between those 4 teams are going to be the key ones. And we've got Allegiance versus Rogue coming up. So if Rogue win that, then they move on to 1 win. You got FlyQuest versus Ghost coming up. If FlyQuest win that, then all 4 of the bottom teams have a single win. Assuming that Allegiance lose to EG and FlyQuest lose to Cloud9. Then Rogue lose to NRG. So we'd be going into the final week with 4 teams on a single win at the bottom of the table. And then if we look at the matches that they would have, FlyQuest versus Rogue, that would straight up be a match for playoffs. Ghost versus Allegiance, again, that would straight up be a match for playoffs. Assuming that Rogue lose in the first match to EG, which is looking likely with how split the table is vertically. So we might be having... There is a world where in week 5 we have 2... Literally, win, you go to playoffs, lose, you go to relegations matchups, and that would be Allegiance versus Ghost and Rogue versus FlyQuest, which is crazy to think of. For that to happen, though, we need to have Rogue beating Allegiance first game of week 4 this weekend, and FlyQuest beating Ghost in the 4th game. I don't know if that's likely. What do you reckon about that?
Sorry, what were those two
The
again?
Allegiance Rogue. Who takes
Okay, that one can go either way.
Yeah, Rogue need to win that for their season to be alive, and then FlyQuest versus Ghost. FlyQuest need to win that for their season to be alive.
Yeah, and with Ghost currently playing as they are, it'll go to game 5, obviously.
Yeah,
and then Ghost will lose it there.
Yeah,
I think Ghost are a better team at the moment, but
I think so too,
pattern's a pattern.
Yeah, the 3-2 losses, they do keep happening. This is true, but
we'll get to the 3-2 losses in a moment.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, there is a world. I just wanted to bring that world to everybody's attention because I think it's quite interesting. But yeah, FlyQuest, they're not out yet. They need to absolutely beat Ghost in week 4 if they want to have a chance to. But hey, if they do beat Ghost, suddenly they've got a super realistic chance all of a sudden. So they can all turn around just like that. EG, they took down FlyQuest, expected. Well, I mean, at least I expected this. I predicted the 3-1. So pretty happy with myself for that. But yeah, they are actually looking better and better the further they go on into the season, I would say. We weren't sure how good Ghost were in week 1, so we're like, okay, therefore we're also not sure how good EG are. Then they got swept by Cloud9, but they looked okay. It was like, not a terrible sweeping. Then they beat FlyQuest, and they finish off with a very strong result, beating NRG. But what do you think EG are right now? Are they top 2, top 3, top 4? Where do you have them ranking in North America at the moment?
Right now, and this is like taking form into account. Obviously, if we were to do an overall, then I'd still say NRG, C9, it's still the top 2 teams. But overall, they're pretty much tied with G2 when it comes to that second spot. NRG, they've got to start pulling their fingers out because they might put themselves into a spot they don't want to be.
That's interesting. I think for now I'm gonna hold back on saying that EG are at G2's level, but they're right behind them. In my opinion, the matchup that they play is going to be in the final week, 4th game, so we have to wait a while to see that one. We do see EG versus Allegiance in week 4 and G2 versus Cloud9 in week 4, so a bit more of both teams but not against each other. But yeah, we'll talk a bit more about those teams later on. They both, or actually no, FlyQuest don't come back, but we'll talk maybe a bit more about EG later. For now though, going to try and not mess up this transition again. There we go.
Oh, hey!
So, NRG versus Ghost, another 3-2 win, or another 3-2 loss for Ghost, and I predicted this one for the exact same reasons. I'm thinking, well, everybody beats Ghost 3-2, so I'll go for that, and it worked. The reverse sweep was just a very nice cherry on top. I was like, look at me calling the reverse sweep, but no, I didn't think it was going to be a reverse sweep. Seeing this game, did you think that NRG were going to be struggling going into the EG game later on in the day, or was... So it's just business as usual for you?
So I pointed this out on my Twitter, actually, which was at 2-0, I suddenly started scrambling through all of the Wikipedia notes to see, have NRG ever been swept before in the RLCS? And the answer was no. Wow. So Ghost are 2-0 up in games. I was sat just going, we're going to see it. We're going to see the first ever sweep of NRG. And then it didn't happen. They got reverse swept. I was like, how? You literally had history within your hands. So, I don't know. This was an odd series to watch. It felt more like inevitability, if that makes sense. I was looking at it just going, I can't analyze this. This is just too weird.
Well, see, when I saw Game 3 going to NRG, I was like, there it is.
It's already over. Yeah.
Because Ghost have lost 3-2 twice or 3 times already this season. Here it comes. This is it. Like, and then it happened. So... yeah, that's definitely going to be the chip on Ghost's shoulders that they keep losing 3-2. They've got to stop letting that happen, or else it's really going to get inside their heads. For NRG, though, it wasn't the cleanest win. And I was definitely worried going into the last game of the season when I saw this, or last game of the week when I saw this, because I predicted an NRG victory, but I was not confident about that after seeing this performance. Which
when was the Dignitas sweep on NRG?
Dignitas swept them in... Gnarly, I think.
Sorry, I meant RLCS for that.
No, RLCS.
I'm not going for every single tournament. They've definitely been swept at some point, probably by Cloud9 as well, multiple times.
Yeah, probably. No, NRG are pretty. They're still like pretty solid, but the problem for them right now, or one of the problems, is Garrett went from being the best player to have ever played Rocket League in North American Rocket League history. I think he's just historically the best American Rocket League player. So now, maybe not even being a top 10 North American Rocket League player, at least based on current form, I don't think I'd put him in top 10, which is a huge drop off. And I don't want to just make it sound as if I'm flaming Garrett here. I want to like just emphasize how good of a player he is historically.
I think this is the first time Garrett's ever faltered. Ever in his entire career. I'm trying to think. Season 2, solid. He was on orbit at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, season 2, Garrett was. I mean, they got
unreal.
They got eliminated without winning a series at RLCS LAN, but he was like top points per game player. And
I think this might be the first time that Garrett's ever faltered. And
season 4 as well, when NRG had the bad season, Garrett was still, I think, the best player comfortably. Yeah. But now they're having a bit of a rough season, and Justin's definitely the standout player for them. Garrett's not the one who's trying to carry. I don't know what's going on with Garrett, but NRG need him. They need him pretty badly. There's bigger fish than Cloud9 on the other side of the pond. Bigger fish than EG, who they lost to this week, and your G2s. The EU teams need, like, if NRG are going to have any chance, they need Garrett to be playing at his absolute best.
Yeah.
And then
they've got to find a way of making themselves better than they were last season. And last season, they went 7-0.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what's going on right now with all of that. Right now, I think we can all agree that Cloud9 looks like the biggest threat to Dignitas when it comes to cross-Atlantic competition.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, NRG, if they want a chance at lifting that trophy, which I know Garrett desperately wants.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to also...
He won't stop trying until he lifts
extra
it.
sellout. I've
this?
Just noticed I can continue my sub to this channel for $1.
Oh, thank you so much. That is such a good deal.
I got to find... Wait. Give me a second here.
Who gifted Shogun a sub, by the way?
It was probably like 2 months ago. Oh, not 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago. Give me a second. My payment options don't work at the moment.
Thanks for going through
I'll do that off stream.
Thanks for going through all this trouble just for the dollar sub. I appreciate that, man. September's still going on for another couple of days yet. The other question I wanted to ask you about NRG, because obviously Garrett's struggling. Well, there's a couple of questions, actually. First question is, where do you think Justin ranks in North America in your top players list? Just give me a number. Where would you put him at? Third, okay. And who would you put ahead of him?
All right, so I've definitely got Squishy at the moment ahead.
Okay.
And it's sort of a toss-up between him and Gimmick after that. But current play, those two are unreal right now, and Torment's starting to look better and better.
Okay, that's fair. The last question. Everybody was saying off season or after RLCS, there was a lot of people saying Fireburner lost the RLCS grand final for NRG, bench Fireburner and all this, and I think that's like a ridiculous thing.
That was such a knee-jerk reaction.
Oh yeah, totally. It was a stupid reaction. But I want to bring up this question not in that context. I don't want people to be thinking about anything except the current RLCS season. Fireburner, is he still at that top level? He's a start vet. He's been around since the very beginning. One of the most consistent players, but also kind of an underperformer until season 5. Season 5 is the only RLCS season where he did like actually play at a world class, like absolute world class level. Do you think that he has it in them to do that consistently, or was season 5 just the anomaly?
So Fireburner for the longest time was the shooter of North America. He was consistently ranking top, if not the top, of goals per game. That being said, it was sort of shown that once North America started to evolve a little bit, and once G2 found their rhythm and C9 found the rhythm, that Fireburner's skill could be a little... I can't find a better word for this. Superficial? Like, he lacked certain things. He lacked...
Yeah, okay.
It's not often that you're going to say, oh, wow, Fireburner did something incredible mechanically to set this play up.
True.
So, I think there's a threat there, but I also feel like, no, they're not going to bench him because it's not worth the risk.
Who have they got on the subs bench? I don't even know.
Who could they bring in
RLCS
after
subs
the season?
are mostly so irrelevant because I don't know if RLCS subs even get flown out by Psionics to the LAN. Like, I think some of them fly out because orgs send them, but they just never get used. And like, obviously, I'm not bringing this conversation up to discuss whether or not Fireburner deserves a spot on the team. Like, who else? Who would they get instead of him? But it is a problem for them. He's just not putting up enough numbers, really. I do still think he's got it in them, though. I wanted to make that very clear.
Yeah, I think he's got it in him, but I think if he wants
Yeah.
to look to the future and still be on this top team in a year or two's time, it's only going to get more difficult. And I feel like if a player was to be moved off that roster, I would hope it wouldn't happen as a knee-jerk reaction, and it definitely would be a knee-jerk reaction if it was to happen right now. But if he wants to stay at that very top level as more and more people start challenging him for it, he's the one that probably needs to improve the most. But to, not be that player that gets moved. And we already spoke about this on stream, how the two players always make that decision more or less.
Yeah, it's such a power play, right? Should we bench the other guy? Yeah. Okay, deal. And then that's it. That's it, because you only need 2 players to keep your roster for the next season. I was going to say, though, like, they're going to obviously have to go with him throughout the season. I hope that they can make LAN, hope that they can get a deep run. And if they do get a deep run, then they're solid. If they win, they're very, very solid. But if they flop like they did in Season 4, I don't see how Fireburner stays with on energy, because they want to win, right? Like Garrett keeps saying, I want to win. Justin, easily one of the best players in the world. You can't bench him, but if you've given it this many goes and you just keep losing, like, you have to make changes. And if the change isn't coming because a player's making a significant improvement or a change to their play style, or you're changing the way that you play as a team, then you have to just change a player. That's the only way to do it. But I don't know. I don't see Fireburner changing. I think, like, he's still, like, at that level. He's kind of like, Jacob, where they benched Jacob, and Jacob didn't disappear. He's still there. He's still, like, doing all right as an individual. His team's not doing so great, but I could see that Fireburner taking that same route, which is, never going to be something that we're glad to see, because he's such a nice guy and such a good player. But if NRG want to win, like, can they do it with this roster? And I think they missed their golden opportunity. You said it yourself. That was their chance. Season 5. That was it. And they messed up. They lost in overtime in the last game. And I don't think they're ever going to beat Dignitas again with that roster. I just don't. I can't predict in their favor right now.
No.
I don't know. Can you?
Then again,
can you see them ever beating Dignitas again with these rosters? The way that the things are currently going, Dignitas getting better and energy looking so much worse.
I mean, we already know how much of a fanboy I am for Dignitas' gameplay at this point. So.
Well, you're really quiet, by the way.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. What's it playing at now? Come on, Discord. I haven't even touched anything.
Wait,
literally no touch. Okay, I'll boost it up a little bit.
Okay,
Hello? Is that better?
Yeah, try just that's good. Like, on the audio side, just speak as loud as you can.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Right, I've got my little slider as well.
The episode.
There we are. I've got the slider for it, so it should work.
Perfect. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Where were we? So yeah, that's
can
a lot.
NRG beat Dig?
Yeah.
Not right now, but what team can right now? So I think the conversation about Fireburner, like, don't touch Fireburner right now. And plus, I feel like he can still get better. But yeah, if he wants to still be sticking around that top level, he's got a big year ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what we're trying to say here is that what's currently happening is not working for him. He's got to improve. I think he definitely plays enough, and he definitely works hard enough, and he's definitely, like, a good enough mentality. He just has to, I think, change something up, find a way to unlock the next level of mechanical ability. Maybe just, I don't know, maybe just ball chase more.
I don't disagree.
It might be the
RLCS level, I don't disagree.
All right, so energy, we did talk about Ghost earlier, but yeah, Ghost did lose another 3-2 here. Not much else to say about this, because we covered most of Ghost earlier today. Their biggest game of the season is their next game of the season versus FlyQuest next week. We both think they're going to win that. Anything else you want to say about Ghost before we move on?
Just a little bit more and you'll be
There we go. So
there you go.
More for Ghost. There are no
this is why I'm not on the desk this season.
All right, so another perfect Johnny Boy prediction for the prediction contest on Twitter. The Cloud9 3-0 against Allegiance. Probably the one I was the most confident about, because Cloud9, I looked at the other games they played. I was like, okay, they 3-0'd EG, they 3-0'd Rogue, and then Allegiance lost 3-0 to G2. So yeah, I'll give this Cloud9 3-0. Oh, it happened. Cool. We're so smart. But what do you think about Allegiance's season? It started great. And then they had a lot of tough matches. They had to go against G2, NRG, and Cloud9 back to back to back. Next game against Rogue. Are they going to make it into playoffs, Shogun?
It feels like a weird sentence to say aloud, but these last few weeks almost feel irrelevant for Allegiance in terms of how their season is supposed to go.
Last two, yeah, week 2, 3.
They were expected to lose these matches. The next ones, that is the big stuff. That's the stuff that we were looking at towards the beginning of the season and saying, okay, you need these results. I think for their season in particular, there was 3, maybe 4 matches that they seemed like they could win, with Evil Geniuses being a potential match for them. I don't see it happening at the moment because of EG, but at the start of the season, you would have said they would have had a chance. But yeah, I feel like the last few weeks don't really matter too much. I think they can sort of mentally just say, well, cool, okay, we lost to some of the best teams.
Week 2 and 3, right?
Yes.
The matches against the big 3 going into the season. But now week 4 and 5 are the ones that matter, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
So let's go for that then. Allegiance versus Rogue, game 1 of week 4. That's tough. I think right now I'm like leaning towards Allegiance, personally. Mm-hmm. I think I'm leaning towards Allegiance because I'm impressed, well, mostly with their week 1 win over FlyQuest. And I think that sort of confidence that they showed in that matchup is going to come back. They're going to be thinking, right, this is our chance. We beat FlyQuest in week 1. Lost to all the big boys, but that's expected. Now let's beat Rogue and get those 2 wins necessary to make them a favorite for a playoff spot. Not guaranteed yet, but a favorite certainly. This match that the Allegiance lost to Cloud9 is the only match that Cloud9 played this week. So Cloud9 sitting pretty 4-0, and their win-loss is looking very nice. 12 wins, 2 losses overall for the season. They're just 1 worse than Dignitas in Europe, or 12 wins and 1 loss. Do you think, Shogun, that Cloud9 are going to be able to emulate what NRG did last season and get the perfect 7-0?
Given the way they currently play, yeah, probably. It's amazing. I think we actually could end the season with both EU and NA having a 7-0 team. Which makes the casters' lives incredibly easy because you just go into the World Championships and just go, hey, these are the 2. Wait for them to play against each other.
True. Very true.
Yeah, that's looking likely at the moment, but there are some teams that they got to play against. Obviously, we know G2. G2 have a knack for just going, oh, hey, we won this one. And you're just looking around as if you just got sucker punched. I mean, we saw that against NRG for the regional finals last season. We saw that against Dignitas for E-League. They're a team that just seems to pull matches and results out of their asses when no one expects them. So
that's very true.
I wouldn't put that past them to do it again to C9.
Very true. The week 2 victory that Cloud9 had over the Evil Geniuses is looking more and more impressive now. With how well Evil Geniuses are doing at the moment. That was a 3-0. They 3-0 Allegiance. They're playing FlyQuest next. I'm probably expecting them to 3-0 that one as well and just continue storming into that G2 match, the last thing of the day. But what a game that's going to be. I think we both have to predict G2 losing that one. This is week 4, match 6, Cloud9 to G2. Definitely going to be giving it to Cloud9 unless if they lose to FlyQuest, maybe I'll have to change my mind. But for prediction contest purposes, you can't be changing predictions. It's got to be in before the broadcast starts. I'm going to give this to Cloud9, but it's not going to be as easy as the Evil Geniuses win, I don't think. The 3-0 and the 3-0 versus Allegiance. I'll have to give G2 at least a game, maybe 2. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. What's your scoreline prediction for that one if you had to make one right now?
3-1.
3-1 Cloud9?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of 3-1s, we do have a 3-1 between G2 and Rogue, which yours truly did, of course, predict exactly correct again. I was so glad when I saw Rogue win game 1 of the series. I was like, I've done it. I just needed Rogue to get a game. And if they can win the first one, that's perfect, because then G2 are probably just going to win everything else. And that's what happened. So Rogue's still struggling. A very similar story to FlyQuest, actually. They just need to win their Week 4 match if they're going to have any chance this season. And their Week 4 match is versus Allegiance. We just talked about this match. What do you think Rogue... Because we already talked about this matchup in prediction sense. But what do you think Rogue need to do versus Allegiance to guarantee the win here? Or at least give themselves the best chance possible?
I almost want to say go basic. I don't think they need to be all that special to go against Allegiance and potentially take a win. I want them to lock down a regular rotation, don't try and be too fancy, and just break Allegiance down, because I feel like Rogue have got decent enough mechanics where they can potentially do that. If they go insane, though, Allegiance will pick them apart. They've got to be very grounded with the way they go about this series, because Allegiance will be looking at that game and just saying, if we get the win here, it's, probably us in the playoffs, and that's what they want.
Oh yeah, very, very likely. I mean, we could be ending week 4 with 2 teams in North American RLCS still on 0 losses because they play each other in the last week. That's FlyQuest and Rogue, and that's it would be 0-6 on FlyQuest part, 0-5 for Rogue. And if that does happen, the only way that either of those teams, actually FlyQuest would already be out. They would all, if FlyQuest lose both their week 4 matchups and Allegiance also beat Rogue, then yeah, that's just the end of the season for FlyQuest. They can't allow that to happen. Rogue would need to win both of their last week series if they want to win in that world, and one of them is against EG, who are looking very hot right now. So I don't see Rogue making playoffs if they don't beat Allegiance here. And I think, speaking of mechanics, I would say Allegiance have better mechanics than Rogue. That's not really been the weakness of the new teams, the mechanical aspect of the game. It's more I'd say composure and intelligence that's held them back. Allegiance and FlyQuest, that is, from getting a couple more wins, couple more games against the big boys. Yeah, you're definitely right. Playing simple is probably Rogue's ticket, because if they try to take this one into like a mechanical war, I don't think they're going to win that. I just don't.
Nope.
Like, they're not a bad team mechanically, but Allegiance are actually really, really good. They're very quick. They're very solid in the air, very solid off the wall, and they've had a overall like more impressive rotation than FlyQuest, less double commits and things like that. So I'd say they're the more team-oriented new team to league this season. That was the only Allegiance, the only Rogue match that we had this week. Rogue losing to G2, not ideal, but yeah, they've had a pretty rough start to their season as well in terms of in terms of schedule, and now they're going to get their chance to salvage everything. They're going to have Allegiance in game 1, but also next week they play NRG. And there's no better time to play NRG than right now, where they're looking in a slump and they've also just lost their previous series. Can Rogue, save their season by beating NRG in week 4, Shogun?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think even this slightly out of form NRG is better than what I'm seeing from Rogue. So I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I agree. What a revenge that would be for Jacob, though. Just wait an entire season and then get your revenge. So that's one to look out for. I can't predict that in Rogue's favor, but it's not going to be easy for NRG if they keep playing the way they are. Last match for North America was NRG versus EG. This was the one that I got wrong in my predictions. I was so upset when EG won game 3 here and made me incorrect. I was right up until then because I predicted 3-1 NRG. Yeah, this is sort of the stepping stone that EG needed. They've looked good in other matches this season, but this is kind of the proof that they are a top team in North America. It's not the big 3. We've been hearing a lot of stuff about the big 3. No, it's not the big 3. It's it might actually be the big 3, but NRG is not one of them if it is, because EG just beat them pretty comfortably. What do you have to say about this matchup, EG beating NRG? How big is that for EG's season, first of all?
I think in terms of their season, it gives them a really good shout of potentially moving on to get that top 2 spot. All they got to do now is pretty much beat G2 and pick up the wins that realistically should be against Rogue and Allegiance.
Yeah.
As long as they beat G2, they should, probably make their way through. That being said, in terms of their standing, like say we're doing a power rankings and their standing within North American Rocket League, I feel like even they know it at this point that they did this last season where they picked up a big win against one of the big teams in North America. in the long run, it doesn't matter realistically because this doesn't win them anything yet. I need to see Evil Geniuses get one of these incredible results in like the playoffs or the LAN. Right now, they seem to pick it up during online play. And I just really want to see them do something incredible at a LAN before I can say, all right, they are the top tier now. They are more than capable. They should be spoke of in this regard. But the reason why it's called the Big Three is because NRG have been to a LAN finals. They've won X Games. You know, they've been around the block and they've done a lot of stuff themselves. They won multiple regional finals. G2, E-League champions, finals of DreamHack, won last season's regionals. And Cloud9 won plenty of LANs, as well as just annihilating this season, to be completely honest. EG don't have that pedigree yet. Yeah, and I really want to see them have that one big performance that means that we can include them there.
Yeah, very true. The obvious question then is, where would you rank EG internationally? Because I think I'd put them third NA. Partially because of how bad NRG are doing. But would you rank them ahead of the Chiefs from OCE? Would you put them ahead? I mean, you wouldn't put them ahead of Dignitas, obviously, but would you put them ahead of your Vitalities, Flipside, Complexity, PSG, Mouse, Sweden Girls? How many European teams do you think are going to beat EG if you put them up against EG right now in this very evening?
How many times have EG beat a European team?
Have they beat any?
I don't think they ever have. Oh wait, no. They beat Vitality, didn't they?
Vitality, yeah, they beat Vitality.
Yes.
Yeah, but Vitality were in absolute shambles in that one. What on earth happened there?
We'll blame Gregan for it. Why not?
Yeah. EG lost to Chiefs at that LAN.
And
then they went on to lose. Was it Cloud9 just swept them out of the tournament? They lost to Chiefs, beat Vitality, and then lost to C9. That was their LAN last season. But
internationally,
I wouldn't give them a series against. I'd give Weedham Girls an edge against them these days. I think I'd even give Vitality an edge. Right now, Vitality are looking like they've turned their season around, so I'd give them the advantage. I'll tell you what a good series would be though: Mouse versus EG. Winning that one. Good luck.
It's just two combustible elements going at each other.
That would be a series. I don't know who I'd put. I think they go pretty close with like teams like Complexity, Mouse right now. PSG and Fnatic have looked pretty dodgy. I don't know. We don't really know much about Flipside right now in Europe because they've only beaten or they've lost to Dignitas and Weedham Girls. But I mean, that's not really a disaster in Europe. It's a tough one to say. I think if I had to put EG somewhere worldwide stage, I would not put them higher than 7th right now, just because of how dominant Chiefs are looking right now in OCE. And I do think Dignitas and Weedham Girls are better. And I think Vitality are probably better as well, because their turnaround for their season. 7th is like the highest I can put EG internationally, which is not a good number if you're, looking for a good RLCS finish. 7th isn't particularly good. Hey, they could still make more strides. They made a big stride versus NRG here, and they're looking to make more. They just need to actually go and do them.
Yeah.
Now. But yeah, I think we're probably talking about NA for long enough. Let's use that European or continue that European discussion. Let's talk about the European games.
That was a quick version for us.
I know that we're trying to get through this, but EU first matchup, Mouse versus Complexity. Mouse took the first two games in the series 1-0, and then Complexity retaliated with a 1-0 win, a 2-0 win, and a 1-0 win, making this the lowest scoring series in RLCS history, despite the fact that it went to 5 games. 6 goals in 5 games, and it could have been the perfect 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 Shogun.
Oh, you already know how mad I am about that.
I know, you really want to see this. Incredibly
I really want it. Yeah. I don't care less about it being the lowest scoring in history. I want it to be the 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 And
it's the second time this season it happened, right? Because EG had this North America versus Ghost before Ghost started coming back and making the 3-2 curse happen again.
I'm fuming. It's amazing how Complexity had been a part of so many low-scoring series as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've come into this season saying, it's going to be ridiculous. Complexity, they're coming in. They're wild cards. We don't know what's going to happen. They could be second. They could be 8th. And then he's going to just go, yeah, we're going to defend a lot. It's like, cool. Nice, guys.
I'll tell you what it is, though. Everybody thinks, when you think complexity, the first thing that comes to people's minds
Greasy's
is...
smiling face.
Well, yeah. It's, the first thing I think of is actually Greasy and a lot trying to have a conversation in English and all the words that they invent to do so. But more importantly, people think a lot is probably on the other team's backboard trying to or make a redirect play 24/7.
About 8 months
Magnus
too
is
late now.
probably in the air somewhere. He's always flying, right? And Greasy, yeah, he's the fastest aerial player in the game. These guys are gonna have high-scoring games. They're all up in the air at the same time. But then, if you actually look at how Complexity have played the past few seasons, they've got some of the highest saves per game stats across any team in the world. That's the Magnus Metza, a lot variation. And Greasy's actually stepped in and played like Complexity were playing before, kind of. He didn't come in and just turn them into the old style Weedham girls, like Greasy era, where they're just constantly pressuring and boost stealing and playing like that style. They're a bit more passive actually, and they sit back and try and hit people on the counter. So I'm not surprised to see low scoring games. There's more to this team than crazy redirects, I would say.
So I did my research, like I said, I got very bored during RLCS seasons. So I did my research on this last season. Magnus and Metsunaris together had the highest by far usage of small boost pads. And that sounds like a nothing stat to start with. But I asked myself, well, why is this? It's because, those, I think it's 4 or 5 boost pads you have next to the goal?
Yeah.
They don't get to stay up for more than half a second before one of them has stolen it.
Yeah.
They are very good at sustained defense, and I've never seen a team as efficient with boost as they are.
Yeah, they're not afraid to sit back and let teams shoot at them, that's for sure. They don't lunge out very often, and it gives them lots and lots of saves, which is not a bad thing. It's not a really good thing. It's kind of like a pointless stat to look at, really, for anything other than where is a team positioning themselves to defend? Are they challenging early, or are they reacting? Are they trying to make saves reactively, or are they trying to proactively do it? That's really the only thing that saves per game stats really tell you. A lot of people will say this team's full of great goalkeepers. Look how many saves they have, but it's not necessarily. The other team might have better goalies, but they're just challenging earlier. But yeah, I think the other thing we have to talk about before we move on from Complexity versus Mouse is how close were Mouse to actually pretty much qualifying for playoffs already in week 3. They would have been in playoffs, I think, with how many trading there, or how many wins going for different teams there are in Europe. 3 wins for Mouse would probably have done it, but now they've got to fight for their playoff standings. So let's take a look at their matches that are coming up. We got Mouse versus PSG in week 4, and then Mouse versus Flipside there's also Mouse versus Weedham Girls in week 4, sorry, and then Mouse versus Flipside in week 5. Do you think they make playoffs, Shogun?
They just need really one series win out of those 3. They get it. They've got to with current form. They have to.
But now if they lose to PSG have 2 wins, and I
don't think PSG are going to win. I think Mouse have got them.
Oh, no, I don't either. But it's not. I don't think they need to win any series at random. I think they need to win specifically that PSG series, because if they lose to PSG are playing Fnatic in the last week, so PSG could probably go up to 3 wins as well. And then I could see Mouse losing to Weedham Girls and Flipside. Then it becomes win percentage between Mouse, PSG, probably Flipside and Complexity. And you're
PSG have got 2 games left. One of them is Mouse. If they lose
that's what I'm saying. That
puts them 1-5, which means that the last one is Fnatic.
That's what I'm saying. It's not just win one out of or win any one of these 3 games. Mouse need to beat PSG. This is huge. Yeah. If they beat PSG, they're pretty much in.
Who have Fnatic got left? PSG, F3, Complexity.
Yeah, nobody's season's over, but pretty much it's just the key games come first, actually. I'd love it for the last week to be the most important matchups, but it could just be Fnatic are already eliminated by the time we get there. PSG are already eliminated by the time we get there. They might be already out. Or, is it possible that they're both already out? Depends, I guess, on the flip side games this week and the Complexity games this week. But Yeah, Europe's pretty mad. It's almost impossible to make a playoff scenario video right now with 2 weeks remaining in Europe.
Yeah, have fun with this, Gibbs.
There's so many teams on like 3 teams on 1 win, 3 teams on 2 wins, and then Weedham Girls on 3, Dignitas on 4. At least something makes sense. Dignitas still winning. Like I want to ask you one thing about Complexity because they do play later, but we're probably going to be talking about Vitality for that series mostly. Where do you actually put Complexity right now in like your power rankings? Like, do you think they're making playoffs? Like, just tell me, like, give me some thoughts on how good they actually are because they're so in the middle.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly. They're 5th in rankings, and I think they're 5th in power rankings as well.
So who do you put them behind if they're 5th?
Currently, Dig.
They just beat Mouse, who are ahead of them in the standings because of win percentage, but that's maybe due to a better record of opponents.
Yeah, I mean you've put them 4th or 5th. I think. I don't know, man. I don't know, mate. I was going through it, just going. I'm going to form an opinion here as I'm talking. I don't know, bloody. Why don't we just stop playing Rocket League and all play dice?
I think right now Complexity are probably 4th.
I think 4th or 5th. I think it's interchangeable.
I'd go Dignitas, Weedham Girls, Vitality, Complexity right now, and then it's Mauser, Flipside. It's hard to say. Flipside have only played 3 games. How did this happen, by the way? How did Flipside only have 3 games? What is the schedule?
They've played 1 every week
so they only have 3. What happened? Is this deliberate? Did somebody mess this up? They're the only oh no, wait, Rogue only have 3 games as well. What? Did this have to happen? Is this mathematics? I don't know if it's math.
Pretty much.
Anyway, this is just going to be the European discussion. By the way, it's so hard to place teams. They're all just losing and losing to each other and beating each other. But yeah, Mouse Complexity, whichever team won this would be ahead in the power rankings for me. Although if Mouse won this, I'd probably put Mouse 3rd in the power rankings, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Because they also beat Vitality earlier in the season. But they've lost to Cole. Luckily for them, they gave themselves a great start to the season, so they're looking good still.
So, do you want to know what the nice thing is, Johnny?
What's that?
Is that if I was actually there for this season, I would have to be there as the European guy.
Oh my days.
Having to unpack all of this.
Oh my days.
And I wouldn't know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh no. It is a tough one.
So it's kind of nice not to be there right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. It's really easy to sound like you know what you're talking about when you talk about Europe. If you're actually like try-harding on a broadcast, I think it's pretty easy to sound like you know what you're talking about, but no one actually knows. No one actually knows. Don't be fooled. We don't have a clue. And that's why we're not even trying to pretend like we have a clue, because this isn't an RLCS broadcast. This is a Johnny Boy podcast. It's totally fine to admit that we have got no clue who's gonna be making playoffs here. One thing I was gonna ask you. This is a bit of a random question, but who do you think is the most underrated player in Europe right now?
Oh wow, that is a loaded question.
Which I bring up for a good reason at this point. But
all right, underrated.
Yeah,
Mystic.
Mystic, okay.
I really like Mystic's play.
All right.
Although I don't see many people putting Magnus in their top, which I find weird.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't see either of those.
Who have you got? You've clearly Skyline.
Skyline, yeah.
To be fair, he was so underrated I didn't think about him there, so that's probably a good sign.
Yeah, Skyline's had a cracking season, and I don't think anybody rates him. So Skyline, that's why I asked this question right now, because this is the Mouse game. He's been playing very well, and he's one of those players that has been. Is he a SARP vet? I think he is a SARP vet.
I think he is a SARP vet.
Yeah, he's a SARP vet, and he's been around since season 1.
I can't tell. He's changed his name so often.
But he's one of those players who dipped off, and it's rare that you see a SARP vet disappear and actually come back. So I think we need to give Skyline some props for that.
Here's hoping for Marky.
That's rare. Yeah, bring back the Duda. Come on, where is he? But yeah, Skyline is a bit of an anomaly. Has any other RLCS? No, any other SARP vet made a comeback after falling off? Obviously waiting on the Gibbs comeback.
Maybe argue Crow at like a few years ago.
Okay, yeah, Kronovi definitely fell off and came back. Yeah. Didn't fall as far, but he definitely fell off.
No, I feel like if I'm also saying that, you have to sort of say Cux as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
if we're going by results, I don't think as a player he's ever been someone no one's not rated.
I think this is, I mean, in terms of like form and how well they're playing, results are a part of it, but Cux has always been pretty good. Even when Flipside were slumping with before Marky left, I think Cux was still like playing pretty solid.
Do you know who I do always forget as a sub there?
Who's this?
Despite the fact that he knocked me out of every single semi-final of every single tournament.
Wait,
Fireburner.
Yes. Oh, never mind. Fireburner. No, I always remember.
I always forget Fireburner as a start.
I'll tell you who I forget as a start bet. It's Scrub Killer for some reason. I always forget that one.
I mean, yeah.
Like
I don't think Scrub was born until about 6 years ago, so it's all good.
He was born into Urban Knight. He's like, you merely adopted Urban Knight, or no, actually there wasn't no Urban Knight. There was just Urban. That's probably where he was born.
There was an attempt there. It's okay,
yeah,
Johnny.
I tried my best. Sorry for also taking so long to get through these games for all the people who are just here for the recap, because there's just so much to talk about. But for fear of just talking about this game all night, let's move on to Vitality versus PSG. I managed to predict a comeback for Vitality in this week, but I didn't think it was going to come this early. I was trying to be sensible with my predictions. PSG beat We Dem Girls last game of week 2, and Vitality lost. So I thought, hey, PSG actually finished pretty strong there. Maybe they're going to beat Vitality as well, and I think that's not a bad matchup stylistically. And I thought it was going to be later that Vitality were going to turn their season around with a win. But hey, they got the win, and not only that, they got it in a sweep. So I was definitely surprised by the 3-0 here. What do you think about Vitality? What do you think about Fairy Peak in particular?
It was nice to see him back.
Questions. Yeah, he was playing the Batmobile, wasn't he? I think he changed it. Yeah, because he was messing about in the Octane for a little bit, but no, he's back in the Bat for 3s.
I think, like, if they lost against PSG here, I think for both teams, we kind of called it out last week as whoever loses this, it is now time to panic.
It's on the brink, yeah.
And Vitality managed to take it. So I think they'll be happy with that. It was good to see Fairy Peak playing really well again. That entire team just seemed to be clicking. For goodness sake, Passion needs to stop scoring 0-second goals. It's getting annoying now.
Yeah, but no, actually is crazy how often he's involved in 0-second plays.
It's insane.
This has been a thing for anybody who's new to Rocket League. Pashi and last-second equalizers or late equalizers, that has been happening for years now. And it doesn't stop happening. I don't understand, but if there's one thing I remember about Pashi, is listening to the in-game comms for one tournament that he was playing with, it might have even been like Crown and Jewels days or something like that, where they were losing by 3 goals in a regular tournament match. This is pre-RLCS era, and then they scored 1 goal with 6 seconds left.
Oh, this is the Wasteland game, isn't it?
Most teams at this point would just be thinking, there's no point. We're still 2 goals down with 6 seconds left. Their heads are in the next game. They're not still trying to win the game they're in. But not Pashi. I remember listening to the comms for this. I don't think it was a Wasteland game. That was actually a Rocket Royale thing, right?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, it was. This is like
I'm
even
remembering
before
the map.
that. It's happened so many times, Shogun. It's even before that. He was streaming it, and you could hear the comms. As soon as they scored, he's like, "Yes, come on, we can still do this." And I'm like, man, okay, let's see what happens. Kickoff goal, 2 seconds remaining. Keep the ball up in 0 seconds. Actually get the goal. I'm like, I'm not as blown away by the fact that they've done it as the fact that he believed that they could do it, because everybody knows it's a mathematical possibility, but that guy just does not give up, and that is such a useful skill to have, and I think a skill that a lot of other Rocket League players would do well in learning is focus on the task at hand. Stop thinking about the game that you just lost. Stop thinking about the games that you've got to win for the rest of the series. Just focus on what you're doing. Try and get the job done. Like, how you got there doesn't really matter. Like, okay, we're losing 4-0 with 2 minutes to go. Now your job is to score 4 goals in 2 minutes. Doesn't really matter how well we played, how bad we played. Like, let's just focus. What do you think about that? Do you think there's much that can be learned from Pashi here? Or do you need to just be on his team to finally learn how he can do this so often?
I think Pashi's roles as an in-game leader, he's got his downsides, definitely. But he's also got a lot of upsides. It's the same with everything. There's good and bad parts to everybody and what they do. And the fact that Pashi is as driven as he is super useful to have on your team. Yeah, I think he's doing fine for himself at the moment. It's really weird because it feels like Pashi is just always around.
Yeah.
You've never looked at anything in Rocket League and said, oh, well, no Pashi here. Like, he's always there.
Oh, yeah. Like, if he was going to be a living, like, animal inside a, like, nuclear blast area, he would be the cockroach that somehow survives when everything else dies. And I'm not saying that to make a direct comparison between Pashi and a cockroach. I'm just saying that's how difficult it is to get rid of this. You can't get rid of it. Nobody's gonna retire Pashi. He's gonna retire himself. When he leaves, it'll be on his own terms, and he'll have benched everyone in the scene at least once before he does. It's really quite something to follow his story. That'll be a good story actually if somebody makes the story of Pashi after he's all is said and done. But yeah, back onto the topic of RLCS. This is massive for Vitality. Season is completely turned around. They lose in week 1, lose in week 2, win twice in week 3. The first game being this 3-0 against PSG, and winning against another like mid-table team is so useful as well. I was half expecting Vitality to lose to all of their competition and then beat Dignitas in the last game and just make a ridiculous tiebreaker situation, but they've turned their season around earlier than it looked like they might. So props to them. And PSG on the other half of the coin they're really struggling here. They're pretty much on the brink. I think if they lose to Mouse, they are just about out of.
I think every time they're losing,
playoffs.
They can hear Bluey in the background.
You're right. Maybe they can. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, eventually, but some people would react well to that, right? The guy that you've benched, you think, oh, we've got to win so that he's not. So he doesn't think that he's better than us. But some other people will be like, oh no, maybe we'll lose and he'll think that we're better than us. It just depends which side you look at it, positive or negative. But PSG, either way, they're definitely struggling. They're not looking good. They got to play Mouse next and then Fnatic, and that's it. And if they don't win twice, they're leaving it in other teams' hands because their win percentage is not good right now. PSG have lost 3-0 to Flipside. They have lost 3-0 to Vitality and 3-0 to Dignitas. And they've dropped games in their only win to Weedham. They dropped a game in their only win to Weedham Girls. So the win percentage being that bad, I think they have to win both games. It's likely.
They definitely have to beat Fnatic.
Oh yeah, without question. We'll wait and see. We'll probably do more like examining like playoff scenarios next week. But it's a bit early
when it's a little bit. And after I've had Gibbs explain it to me.
It's a little bit early to be doing that in Europe right now. Let's just say PSG are not out yet, but they're very, very close to having a relegation battle, which would be very interesting if they run into a certain Bluey and Savage on the way up, which is possible, by the way.
I will give anything for that match.
It's actually really possible. It's very possible. Savage lost one series. I think they lost to what are they called now? The new team. They used to be Triple Trouble. What are they called? Red something. They lost to that team. I've never heard of this org. Some big org. I never heard of them before.
The Red Reserve.
Red, that's the one. They lost to Red Reserve, but then Red Reserve lost to Secret, and they've also got a pretty bad win percentage. So, yeah, Savage aren't out yet. They beat Method, so that's pretty big. That's the RLCS for anybody wanting to follow. Let's talk about another 3-0. We had 4 3-0s in Europe this week, which is a bit surprising, but this one not so much. 3-0 Dignitas beating Flipside while only conceding a single goal over all 3 games. 4-0, 3-0, 2-1 in game scores. I mean, what more is there to say here?
It's the most... Yeah, it's the final boss of Rocket League, and you've got to find something incredible to beat them.
Mm-hmm. Like, there really isn't much to say. This is the good thing, or the good part of the podcast. We're like, yeah, this is the thing we know about. Dignitas win games. Something makes sense in Europe.
So, I know we're seeing this right now as the opportunity to move on. Like, we've finally got a game that we can just skip past.
Yeah.
I'm going to drag us away from that.
Okay.
Because I've seen a lot of hate for Dignitas recently for them being such a good team. And
why?
It seems weird because I feel like people are forgetting that they are going to get beat at some point, and that is going to be massive for whoever does it. I think people are worried with the present and they're not looking to the future of If this team, if they get beat in a grand final, it's going to be the biggest thing ever.
I like, I love seeing those comments of people being triggered by Dignitas winning all the time. They're like, is anybody else sick of Dignitas winning? This is really unhealthy for the Rocket League scene.
Has anyone ever met Floyd Mayweather before?
No, this is yeah, exactly. It's great. This is what gets people interested, is a team actually winning. Like, this is how you get players or fans interested in players, is you have consistent players like showing up and being good every season. So
like legit, I think Dignitas is the best thing for the scene right now, because they've got people like Turbopulsar who can talk for that team as well. So if you want a team that you want to base the scene around, Dignitas are fantastic.
Oh yeah, and solid org as well. So that's great to see them picked up last season just before they won season 5. If we're going to talk about Flipside briefly, because this was their only game this entire week, I mean, they can't be. I mean, they're going to be disappointed. They know they've got a lot to work on, but they can't be too disappointed. They've only played 3 games. They've got to remember they swept PSG last week. They go against Fnatic in game 1 of week 4, or match 1 of week 4, and then Vitality later in the day. I expect Flipside to beat Fnatic, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to Vitality. That's not a bad place to be going into the last week. 2 wins and 3 losses, because then you're going up against Mouse and Complexity, who are also sitting at around about the same spot in the league if things go as expected in terms of seeding. I wouldn't be surprised if Mouse and Complexity both go 1-1 this. Well, actually, yeah, Mouse, Complexity, and Flipside all go 1 win, 1 loss this upcoming week, which would make the final week very interesting between them. It's just like, okay, you guys are now battling directly between each other for 2 playoff spots, or for seeding rather in the playoffs most likely. But we'll have to wait and see. Flipside are a bit of a unknown quantity right now, because they've only played 3 games and they've lost to the 2 best teams in the league and beaten PSG, who are bottom of the league. So what can you really say? Kux is still doing pretty well. He's looking impressive on the numbers side, and you say Mystic's underrated, and Yukio's looking better than last season. I don't think it's over for Flipside yet. Flipside fans.
Oh no, they can get in there pretty easily.
Yeah. It's likely, if they can play as well as we saw against PSG, that they'll make it in, I would say.
As well, Flipside are helped by how poor some of the other teams have been towards the bottom. PSG especially.
Oh, that 3-0 against them, huge.
Oh yeah, win percentage. I think that gives them a lot of breathing room now, especially like their 2 losses are against the 2 teams that me and you put as one. I believe me and you both put William Girls and Dignitas 1 and 2.
Still do.
So yeah. So it's no thing. It's as of now, this is where Flipside season starts,
and this is where they started to rebound last season as well, and turn things around. So I think Flipside are fine. If last season's anything to go by, they're probably going to beat Fnatic tomorrow. But hey, it's Europe, so who knows what's going to happen. Fnatic though, not looking good. Let's talk about them losing 3-0 to We Dem Girls, and the scorelines were 5-1, 2-1, 2-1. I reckon that for me, the biggest problem for Fnatic is that Mummy Snow has had his moments, but he's just not been able to be a big improvement on Siki compared to last season. Fnatic look pretty much the same team as last season, with how well they're doing. I'd say they're a little bit better in offense, but their defense has suffered. What's for you the issue with Fnatic here? Because I don't hear anybody talking about them as a playoff team. And it's still 4 games to go. 3 games left in the season for them.
So what's their remaining schedule? PSG, F3, Complexity. That's
in the reverse order. Yeah.
They're kind of hard to place, because they're often the background characters of Rocket League, especially in Europe where everything is so crazy. I think they need to sort of use that to advantage, just sort of sneak their way through. We already know that they're capable of taking an insane series or 2 off some teams. It's just, can they do it when it matters? And more importantly, which team are they going to beat for this top 2 spot? This top 6 spot? Realistically, I would say either Flipside or Mouse. I can't see Complexity being dragged in there. So
yeah,
it's going to be a tough time for them. And they've got to find some consistency, and that's always been their big problem. Fnatic will turn up once every 3 months for a weekend. And then they're back towards being a team that is in the RLCS. And I don't want to refer to them as that. I feel like they can be so much more.
Yeah, the off-season last season was quite promising. Some people probably don't know, but the Fnatic roster, which contained Siki, was able to beat Dignitas they were Gale Force at the time, a couple of times in the off-season, running up to RLCS Season 5, and then they just flopped in RLCS. This season, they were looking pretty good. They beat Dignitas in the off-season, only team to do it. And now they're losing in RLCS again. It's just a very similar story to last season, and although they have maybe I'd give them 35 to 40% chance of winning against either Complexity or Flipside, it's just not looking likely. It's possible, but not likely. Which is, it's a shame for Fnatic fans. They've been waiting a long time. And I will say one thing though, Maestro is still really, really good.
Oh yeah.
He is still a really, really good player. And I'm hoping that he can have at least one more RLCS LAN. I would love to see Maestro at another RLCS LAN for two reasons. One, he's still an incredible player. Two, he qualified as the first seed for RLCS Season 3 with Remco and Devo. And then he just didn't go to the LAN because he wanted to do his exams for school, which is, that's his decision. And then, of course, Turbo Pulse stepped in and that team went on to win. So Maestro got the World Champion title. He's got RLCS Season 3 World Champion title on his account. But he didn't play at the LAN. I'd love to see him at another LAN, man. It would be really, really good.
I brought this up a while back that I thought Maestro was maybe the unluckiest player in Rocket League, because like I said, the timing didn't line up very well for a LAN that honestly I still feel like Northern Gaming would have won.
I think they would have won
Maestro.
Yeah, I think
feel
they
like
would have won.
I know people can turn around and say, oh well, he still gets the World Championship title. For a fact that it's not the same thing.
Not the same. And you would have 3-time Turbo Pulse if that happened as well in that universe.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't even have a Gale Force if that.
I don't think
Turbo Pulse has net worth, or maybe not net worth, but his real estate went so high when he won that, and suddenly lots of teams were trying to pick him up.
Well, the original duo was K-Dop and Violent Panda, wasn't it? They were just looking for the third. So I agree. I don't think Turbo gets that.
Fairy Peak was an option. There was a lot of other very good players who were open. Fairy Peak would have been a grand finalist, obviously, losing out by a single game, and Turbo Pulse, if he didn't go to that LAN and win, would have been not even in the conversation, I think. So,
wow, what a timeline! If
Maestro had gone, it would have been a very, very different Rocket League, I think. A very different. I wonder who would have won season 4 if that was the case. Maybe it could have been Method. Maybe if Dignitas,
who knows?
didn't happen.
Maybe Maestro would have been on that ticker to get into current Dignitas.
Or maybe Northern Gaming again. They could be the 2 times, the Devo and Maestro Remco. You never know. It's a bit of an interesting
but one thing is for certain, we would not have current Dignitas.
It's very possible. That's just a little bit of a sad story for Maestro. But on the other side, Weedham Girls, his long lost friends, they're looking pretty good again. They had that. Now it's looking like a huge blip versus PSG in week 2, where they lost to PSG. At the time, it wasn't looking like that bad a result, but then PSG lost all their games, all 6 of them, 3-0 against Vitality and 3-0 against Dignitas in week 3. So suddenly that Weedham Girls loss to PSG is looking a bit worrying, I would say. How did they manage to drop a series to a team that Vitality and Dignitas got rid of so easily? Is that just a consistency thing? Is that just that they've not quite had enough time with Mets and Oris to figure out how to play their game every time? Or is this just something they should be worried about? What do you think about that loss in the week 2, Shogun?
I think it's whatever. They're a brand new team. It's their very first season together, and if we were looking at it, say this was a Gfinity weekly sort of thing going on, and you looked at this throughout the weeks and you just went, oh, okay, so Weedham Girls, they beat this team, oh, this week they lost to PSG, okay, but then next week, oh, they beat this team. You chalk that up as just Rocket League being Rocket League. I think it's the exact same thing here. Just sometimes results don't go your way, and there's not a huge amount to read into it.
It could just be a bad matchup for them as well, because they lost to PSG in the Coliseum, didn't they? In the grand final, and they've lost to them in RLCS. Sometimes teams just have that bogey team. That might be it for Weedham Girls, and if PSG don't make LAN and they do, then hey, nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
For now, the Weedham girls looking very good. They've got Mouse next week. That should be a win for them, but you never know. Mouse are there's that team this season.
Quote.
I reckon it's going to be a close series. I would not be surprised if Mouse take that to a game 5. I would not at all be surprised. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know what I'm going to predict for that one. It'll be a Weedham girls win, surely. That I'm predicting.
Surely.
I'm not saying surely that the result will be a Weedham girls win. It'll be a Weedham girls win that I predict will surely happen. All right, let's talk about the other Vitality series. Let's talk about Vitality Complexity, second last series of EU. This one went completely like zigzag back and forth. Vitality won game 1 by a goal, then Complexity won by a single goal in game 2. Vitality won game 3 by a goal. Complexity took a 2-0 in game 4, and then Vitality won 3-1 in game 5. This is kind of like just proof that I think Vitality are a very good team, and this is probably the turn. I think it's the turning point of their season. What do you reckon? Is this like how much of a confirmation of Vitality fixing their season is this, or is it just as likely to go off the rails again next week against Flipside? What do you reckon?
I mean, it could go off the rails against Flipside, but that's because Flipside are a good team.
Okay. So if it does go off the rails, you're saying it's because Flipside.
I think Vitality.
We'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's going to be Fairy Peak just flying all over the shop doing weird things again, and then we could be worried again.
Vitality's schedule has really helped them out here because they got their bad games out of the way. And yes, it was in matches that they really should have won. Mouse and Fnatic. I know Mouse has been playing really well recently, but still. They should have won that. Now they've got the rest of the season. They've got harder competition to go against. But they picked up 2 wins, and that's crucial. Because me and you are roughly saying Free's going to do it.
Yeah.
So, one more. In your next 3 games, I think they should be able to manage that. Looking at their opponents still.
No, it's pretty rough, actually. I was just looking at it myself.
It's not easy. But
I think it's the worst
doable.
3 that you could get, actually. If you're going to finish off the season in EU as Vitality with the 3, toughest teams, you would think on paper it would be Flipside, Weedham Girls, Dignitas, just because Flipside can just show up and annihilate you. Or so it seems, looking at the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
However, I do think this is a good matchup for Vitality versus Flipside. They should be able to win this most of the time. However, they really do need that win, because if they don't get it, they're up against Weedham Girls and Dignitas in the last week, and that's leaving themselves a lot of work to do. Vitality Weedham Girls is going to be a cracking series, by the way, in week 5. That should be very interesting. It's like all 3 of those teams all play each other. Weedham Girls, Vitality, Dignitas all play each other once each.
Do you know what's going to end up happening? And this is not my prediction by any stretch of the imagination. Bloody Vitality are going to lose their next 2 series, and then they're going to ruin the Dignitas 7-0 season and make it into that top 6 with the very last game of the season.
Yeah, it's possible. There's one lucky thing for Vitality, and that is that before they play in week 4, Fnatic have already played twice, so maybe Fnatic have already lost twice, and then that's Fnatic 1 win and 5 losses, and they still play PSG in the last week. And PSG have already played as well, so if PSG lose, then both PSG and Fnatic are on 1 win and 5 losses each. That would mean that one of them is guaranteed to be on a single win. So, and their win percentages are both awful. So as long as Vitality can take games, even if they lose all 3 against Flipside, Weedham Girls, and Dignitas, as long as they take games, they're going to win versus Fnatic and PSG's worse win percentage. That's only that they can only live in that world if Fnatic and PSG lose all 3 of Fnatic lose twice and PSG lose once in week 4. Those are the first 3 games. But yeah, it's a good position for Vitality to be in. They should be pretty happy with where they are right now on the upside. Complexity though, they lost this to Vitality close. They picked up a couple of wins for the win percentage. It's gonna be interesting though. The Fnatic game really is their kind of season defining series, I think. Week 4, game 3, Complexity versus Fnatic. Lose that and you're giving Fnatic the same amount of wins in the league as you have, and you still have to play Dignitas and they don't. So no, they're not out of the woods yet, or Complexity. What do you expect from that series of Complexity Fnatic in week 4?
More low-scoring games. So actually, especially between these two, that'll be a very low-scoring series. It's one that Complexity should be winning. I think if there's an opportunity for them to start showing off what they are capable of, that needs to be the series where they do it. But as of right now, it seems like there's an extra gear that Complexity just haven't quite reached yet. We did say there was more to them than just being fast, but right now, it seems like too much counter the other way. It doesn't seem like they're fast enough. I would like to see some more speed from them. I would like to see some more boost control in terms of stealing other people's stuff, because they're very tentative with how they're going about everything. And I feel like they can up the pace and cause some more chaos, and they would play better in some chaos compared to most teams, especially Fnatic.
I'll tell you why Complexity are considered to be such a... Well, we talked about this earlier with people thinking Complexity are a wild team. It's because they attack so confidently. They are one of the most confident teams in attack. If a ball is going up in the air in an awkward position and you have a Complexity player upfield who has to make a split-second decision of whether or not they can go up and redirect that onto the net perfectly, or whether or not they can go up and get up quick enough to drop the ball back down to one of their teammates, in essence, Complexity are going to be the team to do that most of the time. They're not going to think so much about whether or not it's a good idea. They're just going to go up. That's why they're so fast. They just go a lot. Greasymeister, Magnus, they're already up. The other players are thinking, oh, is this a good idea? Is he going to go up for that? Oh yeah, he's already up. Like, they're just that confident in attack. They're that confident in their speed. However, in defense, they are not the most confident. I don't think that Greasy a lot or Magnus strike me as players who are confident in their challenges.
Yeah.
Or their ability to, like, prevent the ball from getting past them in a blocking situation. I don't think that that's any of their strengths. Look at teams like Dignitas. They're very good at that. They don't let the ball go past them easily. Look at teams like Vitality. They don't let the ball go past them easily. Thinking, their 1v1 pedigree coming in. Even Cloud9 actually, very difficult to get the ball past Squishy, for example. And I would say G2 also are like on occasion pretty good at challenging the ball. But Complexity not so much. They actually just do a lot of fake challenges. They do a lot of backing off, a lot of like goal line saves, and if they don't start throwing in some aggression and defense that matches their offensive aggression, I don't know if they're going to be able to dictate the flow of the game as much as they would like. That's my one thing.
It definitely seems like whenever you watch them play, they are waiting for the offense to make a mistake by either mispositioning or what is more usual from Complexity, which is a bad shot. So a bad shot comes towards them and they can finally clear using the shot rather than controlling it.
Yeah.
And that gets them out finally. And that's going to cost them, because do you see the top teams right now? You give them that sort of space, they're going to tear you apart for it. So is
Unless you can absorb that
I don't think you can. Like, for the very top teams, you can't absorb that. It's not a game you'd want to play.
Yeah, there certainly is like a lot of offensive threat. I'm thinking you don't really want to let K-Dop shoot at your goal. I don't
think you want K-Dop to be shooting from anywhere.
Yeah, that's like just the one argument that you need to say that maybe passivity in defense is not a good idea, is that the other K-Dop is on the other team, so maybe we need to start challenging before the shot, contest the passes, intercept things. Don't let the ball get to K-Dop at the edge of the box, because it's just going to go in bar down in the top corner like very, very quickly. It just keeps happening. And that's why K-Dop is one of the best players in the world, by the way. He's just outrageously good at shooting, and he's got good field awareness because he never turns off ball cam. So there's some how to play like K-Dop tips if you're trying to be like a ball cam focused striker, which is a very good idea if you're trying to be consistent. Complexity and Vitality very much in the middle of the table. I mean, there are two wins and 2 losses exactly. Vitality with the 9 wins, 8 losses game win rate, which is exactly the same as Mouse, and then Complexity 8 wins, 10 losses, so a bit worse on the win percentage side. But with Fnatic and PSG doing so badly, in win percentage down at the bottom of the table. I think everybody's okay going into ties right now, because even if you're losing, as long as you win games in your losses, you're probably doing okay. That's not what Fnatic have been doing. That's not what PSG have been doing, unfortunately for them. All right, last game of the day is Shogun, and I mean, you said last time we could skip over the Dignitas games very quickly because they're so predictable, but was this I mean, I think I predicted 3-0 for this, but maybe I said 3-1. I don't remember. No, I said 3-0. I did. So I got this one right. I was pretty proud of myself. Hard to get an EU game right. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Dignitas continuing to storm through everybody, or is this just another one?
I love it from a spectator's point of view because you need someone to beat, and they are that team to beat. Both their matches, I feel like PSG, they needed to beat this well, with PSG not playing at their best at the moment. But the fact that they beat Flipside so well after losing to Flipside last league play is a huge statement of intent that they're actually a better team than they were last season. It's hard to say. They do everything perfectly. It's very difficult to nitpick. Their defense is so last ditch at times. It's frustrating to watch because you feel like they've just been beat to the ball, but nope, they've already got it. The passing plays are unreal. I'd use the word obsessed when it comes to their passes because they're just determined to do it. You look at it just going, you probably don't need to pass that. Nah, they're going to pass it no matter what. So they're very good to watch. And I think with K-Dop shooting as well as he is, it's really good because if you put a team like Complexity against them who are going to typically try and defend, and obviously when you use defense, you want to try and keep yourself on the backboard or keep yourself as far away from the board as possible so you've got as much range of motion to use. K-Dop's the perfect player to take on that sort of player. You give him one infield pass, he's going to put it somewhere that the keeper can't touch.
Yeah.
You have to challenge them, and even that's its own nightmare.
Yeah, that's why I just simply can't give Complexity a win over Dignitas in week 4. Is if you want to beat Dig, you have to take the game to their half. You have to challenge them early. You don't want to give them space. You certainly don't want to let them shoot. K-Dop in particular.
I mean, it's very similar to what we were saying about NRG, which is I have seen a better Complexity not beat Dignitas. Yeah.
Like when Garrett was playing very well, and you had Garrett and Justin like just zooming around the field, like beating Dignitas to the ball, challenging early, like playing even faster than they could imagine. They still couldn't beat Dig on their day. And I think Dig have improved, so it's going to be pretty tough. That's the week 4 Complexity versus Dignitas. I think everybody's going to give that one to Dignitas, but we'll have to wait and see if Complexity can pull that one out of the bag. And yeah, we've already talked about how desperate PSG's season is. We talked about this earlier in the podcast, but they need to beat Mouse pretty much. If they don't beat Mouse, it is really, really a disaster for them. So, and if they do beat Mouse, then Europe, what is going? Yes,
good fun times for everyone.
Good thing that everybody's just trading wins again. We do know at least that one of Fnatic and Flipside are going to be on at least 2 wins, thanks to them playing against each other before this match even happens. So we could have, well, we will. If PSG beat Mouse, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams on 2 wins.
Hooray!
That's halfway through week 4. How does this happen? Every single time. But yeah, have you got any closing thoughts on any of these matches or the EU or any RLCS at this point in the season?
No, I'm prepared to just have no idea what's happening by week 4. It's been great. I feel like I knew what was happening after round 1, and then after that it's just been a blur. I don't know what's happening. I came back from Amsterdam thinking, okay, I'll sit down, I'll understand everything a lot more. That's not happened.
Yeah.
So keep it up. I'm enjoying the chaos.
Indeed. But yeah, we will talk about a couple of other things. I reckon it's got to be interesting to talk about some things Twitter related. The first thing I want to say is help Shogun get to 3,000.
Come on.
Sorry. I got distracted.
Everyone unfollow.
10,000 followers just around the corner for Shogun, so follow him at that Calma Shogun underneath his name there. And if you want to enter the best RLCS predictions contest on Twitch, on Twitter, then follow my Twitter. That'll be where I run those. You can win a bunch of items for guessing all the games right. Easy peasy, right? Not going to be too hard.
Simple.
Now, if you want to ask any questions, we're not going to take many because we can't stay on too long this evening. But yeah, leave questions in chat now, and I'll go back and we'll choose 5 quick ones after we've talked about this little Twitter banter that's been going on today.
It's not even banter. It would be funny if it was banter.
Yeah, so an RLCS cast, or not an RLCS, I think it's a North American caster tweeted out today, first of all, saying, can someone explain why attacking casters publicly seems to be the wave in the Rocket League scene? Why is that okay? Which, first of all, I'll let you address this briefly, but to that I would say, I don't know who's being attacked. I don't know who's being attacked, and I also don't know why any caster would give a monkeys if they're being quote-unquote attacked. Like, this is why having an ego is important, ladies and gentlemen, is that when people call you out, like if somebody tweets at you and says, your casting's rubbish, you just don't care, because that's not where you should be looking for, like, validation. Like, if casters are being torn to shreds on Twitter, it doesn't really matter. Like, they should have the mental fortitude, and they should know better. They should have better. They should know where they're going to go for their advice related to casting. You got anything you want to say about this initial tweet to start things off, Shogun?
So I feel like it's a weird timing for it, because it's been worse maybe a year or a year and a half ago. Maybe then there was a cause for complaint. Right now, I don't remember the last time. The last time I saw like a proper complaint against casters was last season, and it was this weird thing regarding casters using stats. Maybe it was the Chrome stuff that he tweeted recently, but at the same time, no offense to Chrome, but why are you taking Chrome's Twitter seriously? Are you really think he's gonna, come up to you with a bouquet of flowers and just go, "Oh, I really like what they're doing"? Come on, you've got to be more sensible than that. So
yeah, it's true. Why is anybody taking Twitter seriously, to be honest?
I don't understand, man.
So, an extension of this is another Rocket League caster replies saying, community members don't have an understanding of the limitations set on casters, number one. That's his first point, which is, true to an extent. Like, casters do have to follow the instructions of their employer. I don't like when I hear that excuse, though, to be honest. If somebody doesn't like my casting, I'm never going to say, oh, yeah, now listen, I'm just being forced to cast like this by or tournament organizers. I've never in my life thought this, so I can't agree. But the main, like, juicy bit is, all right, number 2, pro players don't like to be held accountable by casters because casters don't play at their level. In the same line, pro players are not good at casting, so their opinion is irrelevant. This is the same tweet. This is a comment. Following on from the initial tweet that we just discussed. So I know you read this, Shogun, and you said that you could.
I read this the correct way the first time.
Yeah, you read it the correct way. I did
you
not
didn't.
Actually. No, I did not. I thought that this was a bit of a confusing way to get this point across. So I believe the point that is being attempted to be made here is pro players are better than casters at the game, so they don't like casters judging them for their gameplay. Casters are better than pro players at casting, so they don't like players judging them for their casting. That's what is supposed to be said here. But I don't think it's very clear, and it causes a whole hilarious argument on Twitter between players and casters again, which I think is great. Rizzo replies, getting confused, says, timeout, Chief, our opinion is irrelevant because we're not good at casting. Your whole second point contradicts itself. Really a shame that since I can't play instruments, I can't have an opinion on music, lol. So yeah, a very, I think, fair tweet by Rizzo given what he thought was being said. I just want to make that clear. Like, if what Rizzo thought what the tweet said, this is a very fair response. But yeah, Shogun, what are your thoughts on this whole topic of, first of all, should players be allowed to criticize casters when casters are better at casting than them? What do you think about that?
All right, I'm going to unpack all of this as well as I can. The whole tweet by, I believe it was Unthink, was him falling over himself.
Yeah.
As he tweeted it, that he should have read it twice before tweeting it out to make sure that his point was very clear.
Yep.
And Rizzo's also somewhat at fault here as well, because as much as Unthink didn't read it twice, it was obviously possible by reading it twice that you would understand what he meant.
I don't know though, because if you get stuck in one
I got
way,
it first time. I'm not trying to, play
if
devil's
you think
advocate.
you understand
but
something first time, why would you read it again? If you think you understand it first time, why would you read it again? I agree with your
because
first point, though.
when you're going to take
rereading
that
tweets-
much of a stance on something, you make sure you know what is happening. I've never taken a stance on something and gone, oh, well, I only have a slight idea what's happening here.
Well, I mean, Rizzo's not exactly saying, like, whoa, this is outrageous. He says, well, time out. He's like, let's wait, pause for a second. I think Rizzo's fair here. I think it's totally fair. He
I think both
read,
have, screwed up to different degrees.
Possibly. Personally, I don't think. I think
it
Rizzo's
seems so
perfectly fair saying
avoidable.
this. I don't know. Somebody like if Rizzo doesn't say this, then somebody else is going to say it. So if I ever find myself in that situation, I'm just like, wait, did this person really just say that? I'm going to call them out on that. Get to call them out on that real quick, and that's probably what Rizzo's thinking. Just like, wait, let me figure this thing out that doesn't make sense to me. So given what Rizzo thought he read, I think it's okay to reply in the way he did. And then the reply from the caster is, so first, I don't think your opinion is irrelevant. I feel the opposite way, actually. The key phrase is in that same line, as in that same line of thinking. There's a comparison for the sake of hyperbole showing that the back and forth between pro player and caster's opinion. I think this is just, I don't know what's being said here. Do people reread their tweets before they tweet them? I do.
I do.
Every single time.
On occasion, if I have like a genuine hot take to go for, I'll actually send them to someone else very quickly and just go, yo, like, this is not the worst thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going to affect me. For something.
For topics like this, you want to make sure you get this like clear. I mean, obviously, like I made a spelling mistake in my like prediction contest tweet, but I'm not really rereading that. It's like, dude, that's nothing. But for stuff like this, you probably want to make sure that what you think you're saying is actually what people are going to read, because it doesn't matter what you think your tweet says. The only thing that matters is what other people think your tweet says. That's what's going to get you in trouble.
I mean, you have to be very clear, especially on the internet. You have to be very clear because everything can be interpreted in any way.
Yep.
And your point has to be so direct. Don't leave any room for any sort of maneuverability, because it will be taken in the worst way possible, no matter what you do. So you know what I think the problem is here?
What's the problem?
Everyone needs to up their Twitter game. We have a low tier Twitter game in Rocket League, and it needs upgrading.
Twitter is lame, dude.
It is lame.
Reddit, Rocket League, Twitter, is so dead.
We are going, me and you, Johnny, at any point. All right, chat. You're going to hear this live, but you're just going to forget that it ever happened. Me and you, at some point, buddy, we will fake one of these. All right, and we're going to show people what real Twitter beef is about.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Like, I love it. I've fallen into this trap myself a few times where somebody will tweet something at me and I'm like, ha, good one, and then I reply like with a little like prod to the ribs myself, and then I'm like, wait a minute, they weren't serious, were they? They were serious. They're like, quick, delete. Sorry, I thought you were kidding. Like, people get strangely emotional on Twitter, and I don't get it. I don't understand why, but the whole like reread your tweets before you tweet them is a response to that. It's because people get very, very upset on Twitter. I don't understand. Like, personally, I don't understand. Twitter's like pretty stupid if you think about it. It's like going out with a megaphone and just shouting something in the middle of the street, and then someone else everybody's supposed to just be like, yes, I agree with this man who's declaring their opinion.
The way I've always looked at it is that if a player Twitter is a theater of sorts. That is where you sort of go there with your online personality, which we all have. We're all very different offline. And if someone posts something on there, they're expecting my online personality to tweet back.
Yeah, that's true.
If someone has a legitimate problem, I would expect to speak to them outside of a public light. Because, well, that's just how things get sorted. You don't sort out a legitimate problem within 280 characters.
No, not even. I don't know if even DMs are like. You
should be speaking to people.
Fix things in DMs.
It's the 21st century. We have Discord.
Yeah, you can. I mean, even that, like, you have to actually go face to face. I think if you're gonna like actually sort out some problem. I want to get like weird. Back to the initial where this all started before we finish the ridiculous topic.
So we both agree that it's dumb. The whole thing is stupid.
Incredibly stupid. But the one thing I did want to go back to is players, casters, people, anyone really, who receives criticism online, it's probably, I mean, it's not always, it's mostly from strangers, it's mostly from a random username you've never seen before. But even if it does come from someone that you've heard of, in this case, like a pro player criticizing a caster criticizing a pro player, that's not something that you should get annoyed by. Like, the only people you should be looking at if you're a pro player, or the only people you should be talking to about your own level, is your team, right? I think I've predicted multiple losses for Complexity this season. They haven't lost every game. I've been wrong about them a few times. Wrong about them in the Mouse series, wrong about them in the Vitality series. And I don't think that, like, Greasy, for example, is going to be salty that I predicted they would lose, right? Nope. I can't see Greasy being the type of personality who's going to get salty by that. I also think that if somebody tweeted at Shogun, "You're a terrible caster,"
I don't think that's in my mentions recently.
I don't think he would be bothered by this in the slightest.
Wait,
I don't think
someone doesn't like my accent. That's literally the third tweet down. Okay, awesome.
There you go, proof. Like, it just doesn't matter. Even if, like, someone who you respect, like, I don't know who you respect as a pro player, but if they tweet at you, or they just make a tweet, say, or in reply to Shogun not casting RLCS this season, being like, to be honest, I'm glad that I don't have to try and figure out what he's saying with this confusing accent. It might not even be like a direct, like, just jab. It might be something a bit more indirect, but no way are you ever going to be like annoyed by that. You're going to be like, lol, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Twitter. Like, why are people getting upset? Even if it's not on Twitter, right? Reddit. Like, I think we have it so easy in Rocket League. Like, it's such a piece of cake to, like, sleep at night with like, quote unquote criticism that we receive as Rocket League people. Yeah, any final thoughts on this one, Shogun, with going back to the initial topic of criticism?
I think, like I said, it's all theatre. Casters have got to talk. They have to have opinions. That's the reason why they're paid to be there. But at the same time, if you're not happy with those opinions, maybe speak to them. But at the same time, as a caster, if you have an opinion that you're bringing up on broadcast, it should be so well argued that you could argue back if someone had an issue with it.
Yeah.
So if someone's turning around to me and just going, okay, well, you keep saying that we're not going to win. Why is that? I'm going to say, well, you haven't beat this time the last 4 times you've played them. Why am I suddenly going to think you're going to beat them now? Your stance on anything, if you are asked, well, obviously there's some occasions where you just get thrown into the deep end, but your stance on a lot of things should have some sort of basis in fact.
Should be defendable, right?
Yes. And if it's not, you've done a bad as an analyst.
True. Yeah. But yeah, that's just a little sidetrack there. I thought it was quite interesting, and I wanted to.
It was weird.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but the initial topic is something that I really can't agree with. So I had to give my opinion on it. It's just I don't feel, as someone who's received a lot of criticism, I don't think that it's a problem. I think it's actually fine to be criticized.
I mean, in terms of
criticize us,
I can only speak personally. In terms of personal criticism, I gotta say, I see a lot of people online who say, "Oh, you get it really bad." It might just be personal, but I've never had it that bad.
No, like
never.
I attract like a wider range of comments from people who don't really know much about me. I would say, I think your fans being like in front of tens of thousands of viewers in RLCS are people who watch a lot of RLCS, so they see a lot of you. But I have a lot of people who've only seen like a snippet of me, or they'll swing by my stream and be like, "Nah, I don't like this guy," and leave. Like, they don't have to watch my stream. If you like RLCS, you have to see Shogun in like the previous seasons. So people have probably like got a more established opinion on you. I've got a lot of people who haven't got a clue anything about me, and they're like leaving comments, and I can safely say that I am perfectly fine with that. Like, there's lots of very uneducated opinions about me, and it doesn't bother me in the slightest. It's fine. I think if I can take it, then any Rocket League caster should be fine. I think it's pretty safe to say that there's got to be like more, like, people out there who have only seen a 5-second snippet of me and made a judgment than any other caster in Rocket League just because of what I do. I do it on YouTube and Twitch.
I think people need to have some more fun with it.
Place where people click on and then they click off.
I honestly feel like some people need to have more fun with this stuff, because, I mean, I'm literally just taking a like as an example here, but We've criticized Vitality for their first few weeks. I put a tweet out once they won, just going, okay, well, Twitch presents Renault Vitality seasons. Week 1, ruined. Week 2, ruined. Week 3, saved. You don't have to. And, a lot of them actually like the tweet because, hey, it's fun. You finally did it. Well done. Have a bit of fun with the whole thing. It is theatre. I understand there's people's careers, and it can be very difficult to separate that. But you got to realize the entertainment part of this is part of your career.
Yeah, totally. It's a talent industry. Like the players are competing based on their talent, and even the people are casting. That's like called talent. So you just got to compete, right? It's a different type of competition, obviously, but you have to just be ready for tons of criticism. Be like more grounded in what you think. Like having an ego is really, really helpful. Trust me.
It is.
It's really, really good to know that you're good at what you do and just believe that regardless of what people outside your circle of influence think. I definitely take opinions from my peers, but and coworkers and like people I respect, but I'm not gonna be bothered if somebody's like, Johnny Boy is the worst caster on Twitter. Yesterday somebody replied to me tweeting a neat mic meme saying at least he doesn't re-upload Twitch VODs to his YouTube. I think I could have been offended by that. I'd be like, hey, listen, hey, there's an audience for this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna go down the meme route. I'm never gonna actually get offended by something like this. All right, more important question, Shogun: tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee, but they're both very good. Just I think coffee has more practical application. This from True Bluebin. Do you think teams should face each other twice in a season?
Yes, but we won't be getting that for a while.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let's see. Do you think the process, this is from the Zoltan94, do you think the process for a top RLCS team to enter the RLCS is good/fair? Or do you think the current system favors teams that are already in the RLCS? Right, we'll try and answer this one quickly.
Discord's having a fun time now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, for goodness sake. I think I've disconnected. Oh, no, not like this.
Oh, well, at least we got through most of it.
Oh, wait. I think we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Where did I disconnect? Where was it?
No, nowhere. It never happened. We've been here the whole time. Your internet's disconnected.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
400... Wait... You were talking about... You literally just started the question.
Okay, do you think the process for top RLRS teams to enter the RLCS is good/fair? Do you think the current system favors teams that are already in the RLCS? We're going to try and answer this in a brief fashion as well. It's a bit of a long question.
I think it's very easy right now, unless a huge amount of talent comes across at one singular time, to look at RLRS as more of a feeding ground for picking up good players for the already established teams.
Yeah, true. I would say that the people it's most unfair on is a team that finishes third in RLRS. That's really, really a big disappointment. I think there should be more teams in RLRS given a shot at promotion through some sort of extended playoff, similar to what they do in OCE. If you want to see a good way to run playoffs, look at what OCE RLCS do, not what NA and EU RLCS do. That's the short answer to that one. Goldpush says, what's up with Yukio Mystic? Cuxer scoring most of F3 goals, the lowest boost taken. Well, Cux always has been good at making the most out of a little boost, and Yukio is a bit of a speedy boy, which does gobble up a lot more boost. I'd say for me that's too early in the season to be judging the entire Yukio Mystic. Sometimes you have one player popping off and scoring all the goals. They've only won one series, mind, and they hardly scored in the other ones. The other two series, which is Cuxer popped off in that one series that they scored a ton. Mystic might pop off the next one. Yukio might pop off the next. Anything you want to add to that Yukio Mystic discussion, Shogun?
Not without just repeating what you just said.
All right, so let's see. Last question from chat.
An hour and a half, Johnny. This is good for us.
Not bad, yeah. Oh,
wait, no, 2 hours. Emotes. Whoops.
Oh, never mind. All right. Dream NA team and can they beat Dig? All right, that's the last question from the awesome one.
I mean, if we're just going... this is not taking any sort of synergy into account. Or current form. Squishy, Garrett, Justin or Gimmick.
Yeah, for me, Squishy and Justin are in there, and right now, based on current form, J Naps.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my three.
that would be the current team.
Yeah,
But I think you can
J-Naps.
mix and match about 5 different players into that dream team.
You know, I think mix matching might be the way to beat Dig. By the way, like if you're asking, can they beat Dig? I think the mix matching might be a good thing. Like to surprise Dig, throw them off because they're used to playing against organized teams, and disorganization of a random like players being thrown in together might help. Plus, those guys play with each other quite a lot anyway.
The extra question is, can they beat them? No.
You think no?
No, that team wouldn't have enough synergy. I know I said I wasn't taking synergy into account, but
that's fair. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in live to the broadcast. Sorry for the little bit of lag that we had at the end there. We tried to rattle through this. It does turn into a lot of topics seem like they're being chopped in half, but we have to do this to prevent it from taking hours on end. We just have to. We're getting better. Trust me.
We could honestly go for like 6 to 8 hours.
Oh my goodness, it's insane. And we're not even taking additional topics. We're just talking about the games for goodness sake. But yeah, Shogun, cheers for joining me again. I know you got some stuff you want to run along and do, but anything you want to say to everybody who's watching before you head off? And now is the time.
Follow my Twitter. I want 10k. I want 10k before Wavepunk. If Wave gets it before me, I'm gonna be fuming.
There you go. Follow Shogun at Callum the Shogun. Callum with 2 L's. I've not misspelled that.
Nope.
And it's Shogun's actually got good tweets, unlike most of the Rocket League community.
It's because I don't look at Twitter that often. I'm
recommend.
Literally walking across the road and I just go, that's dumb.
So yeah, everybody go give Shogun a follow. Follow me as well if you're not already. Follow my Twitter. I need more followers. Just because why not? But yeah, dude. Cheers for joining in. It's always a pleasure talking to you about RLCS. No doubt there will be more to this for the rest of the season. And looking forward to seeing what happens this weekend, how wrong we can be yet again about Europe.
We'll always be wrong.
But yeah, man, I've also got to run, so see you later. See you next week.
See you later, lads.
Fantastic rest of the week, but to you as well.